Yo, what's good? It's Bear in the building. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Kueen Talk. If you are new here, welcome. Make sure to hit that like button, subscribe button, leave a comment. Let us know what you think of this episode. You guys, we got a very special guest today. We got Moses, who is a 24-year-old graduate student pursuing their Master's of Business and Administration, also playing ball at the college level at Alabama A&M University, was born and raised in Alabama. Please help welcome Moses. Moses, hey. We're here.
Hello, everybody.
Yo, I just had a brain fart, y'all. I ain't even gonna lie. Me and Moses, we've been chopping it up, and realize we should probably press the record button and get some of this on the record so we can actually put this episode out, right, Moses? And so, as we were saying, just Moses, about basketball and college, Masters of Business Administration. How are you going to pursue your Masters of Business?
So, what made me choose it in the first place is because when I was getting my undergrad degree, I couldn't change my major, so I ended up graduating with general studies with a concentration of social work. So, yeah, that degree was fun to get. It taught me a lot about people and how to care for the community. But I always knew that I wanted to do something business-wise. So my next degree was Master's in Business Administration. And what I plan to do with that is to start my own business eventually. But I want to go corporate so I can learn the ropes and then start.
What corporate are you gonna do? Like something in social work, since you're a social worker? I will say I'm a social worker as well, Moses. If you did not know that,
I did not know that, but I do think that that would be the easiest route for me to go, and it's something that I am passionate about a little bit. I do care about the people. I care about advocating for myself and people who look different than other people do. So I think that would be a good route for me to go down.
with what like business do you plan on, like opening a business eventually, or are you going to like after the corporate world? Like is that your end goal, or have you thought about that?
That is my end goal.
Do you know what business that would be, or
I have a journal full of crazy ideas, so hopefully I get to start all of them, but I'm not real sure what would be the first one.
I'm not even mad at, like, I am the person, like I've tried many things, and I feel like sometimes I get down on myself because it's like, man, but you didn't keep doing it. But it was like I didn't keep doing it because it wasn't a passion of mine, because I didn't want to pursue that, obviously. So, but it's like now I've found that, and I'm like, okay, this is what it feels like to want to continue to do something with Queen Talk. Like this gives me purpose, and it like fills me up at the same time. So it's like finally finding that. It took a while. It took a lot of trying and a lot of lessons along the way. But I think it's important to just put effort into whatever you want to do. And if it doesn't happen, you can learn lessons out of it for sure.
100%.
You're also playing ball full time. Like, how is that with playing ball while in school? What does that look like for you, and what's your balance like?
So undergrad, I'm not gonna lie, it's tough. I'm a grad student. I do have a little bit more time, and I am definitely so grateful for that because I don't know if I could keep going down that route with taking 15 credit hour classes or class schedule and then turning around, balancing all the extra work I got to put in for basketball and practice. And then sometimes, people have jobs outside of that. So adding that to that could just make the stress level go up a little higher.
What advice would you have for someone going through that, what you went through? Like, what, if you could go back now, any advice that you would give yourself or someone else?
So the advice that I would give somebody else is to, one, just keep going because hard times don't last always. You're going to look back on that journey and be like, I became tougher mentally, physically, and spiritually going through what I went through. And also, it is important to stay connected either with your family or build a chosen family so that you can have people to lean on when you are in your struggles, feel like you're alone and you just don't have anybody. You need those people to carry you.
How was that community like, and is that community like for you with your identity at the specific place that you're at, Alabama? And
It's different. And it's not different in the bad way, because surprisingly, people here in Huntsville, especially at the school, they're more open-minded than I thought they would be. But it is an adjustment for everybody, including my AD and people of staff because they haven't really seen anyone like me. And I'm probably not the only non-binary trans person or different person, but I do think I am the one who is more vocal, more visible as of right now.
So you feel like you're paving the way right now, like you are getting that.
I'm trying to. I'm trying to do my part.
Yeah, because I'm sorry, I didn't even, we did it when we didn't have it live, but the proper introduction of you is, yeah, so you said you're non-binary, which, what steps did you have to take and navigate through while being a part of the Women's Basketball League?
So the steps that I took, it started with me first. I obviously had to like really sit down and realize what was going on internally. And then the next step was actually telling my coaches and my parents. So when I started this journey, I was at the University of Georgia.
Okay.
So I had to tell my coach then, and I told my parents. I did a mental year, 1 year off from sports to focus on my mental to make sure that nothing's really wrong with me and that this is what I really want to do. So after I did that, I went and got top surgery. Now that conversation was horrible, but I made it through.
It was so. I'm curious. I want to take a couple steps back when you told the school, like, what was that conversation like? Just the scenario that it was for you. Just like, what was that like with the coach and with your parents? Were they like, was it affirming with the coach versus the parents, like, or either one or neither one, or what was that like? Just telling them.
I would say it was somewhat affirming from my coach because it's like I was already nervous to tell her, but
Mhm.
she had my back. The only question was like, when would I be ready to play and if I had the money for the surgery. Now my parents, you know, they were not happy. They were not on board with the plan. And we had our conversation in person, but it wasn't really a conversation because they didn't let me talk. They just talked on and on and on. And I listened, my coach listened, and my therapist listened as they talked on and on and on.
Okay, so you had them in the room with you when you told your parents.
Yes, I
That's
did.
that's good. That's good. So you had this talk with your therapist.
With my therapist because we were talking about it for over a year before I even
Okay.
really sat down and I guess talked to my coach and then my parents.
Okay. That's I'm glad that you got your therapist and like your support there with you while you told your parents.
They were just there for support. None of us knew how the conversation was gonna really go, so we just kind of walked in there, and they were there to support me.
And like did you tell your parents like, "Hey, I'm trans. Like this is who I am," and then they just like started talking over you, or
Pretty much.
so what was your route to do next? Like,
Um, they did not support me. I pretty much only had myself and the person that I was dating at the time. But luckily, I didn't really need her help either. I just was able to, reach things because I'm tall. I didn't have to like stretch my arms out to open the cabinet. It was already there in my face. So I didn't need too much help. I was pretty much independent. And they still aren't there. But I'm hoping that they'll get there one day. And if not, I just gotta keep pushing. But I do want them to get there.
do they still support your school and athletics? Do you still have a relationship with them? You just don't talk about that, or is just you don't have a relationship at all, right?
I say I barely have a relationship.
I'm really sorry to hear that, Moses. I'm sorry to hear that. I'm glad that your coach is there for support. I think a lot of coaches like can be that support system for their players. I know some don't only care about one thing. There's a lot of bad coaches out there, but when you find those good coaches who actually care about you on and off the court, like it's so great to have. It's good to play for those individuals. Your coach, what does and you're still going to therapy, I assume, right?
Yes, but for different reasons.
Yeah. Still in therapy. Still in therapy. But what's your support look like now? Like,
I would say I have chosen family. When I finished my undergrad at the University of Arkansas Pine Bluff, I had two teammates who played the same position as me. While our time there wasn't long because I came along at a different time, they became like sisters to me, and I appreciate them because they carry me even now. In Christmas in Alaska with one of my homegirls, well, both my homegirls actually, because I don't want to go home for Christmas. And I wouldn't have that if I didn't have my experience at UAPB with them.
That's awesome. I think that's it's very important, like that you do build a community still, because I mean it can be chosen family, for sure. As long as you have support, a support system for you.
And even their family, I'm kind of getting a relation with them. Their parents love me, they support me. I just I just won with my two friends.
Yes, that's awesome. That's awesome. I love that, and it just like goes to show, like if there's listeners and they can be that support for someone else. Like if you know someone's family is not supportive, but you know that you are, just be that support system to them. Like a little bit goes a long ways for sure. Ball is life for you.
I did do other things before that, like up until the age of 8. I did do ballet. I was in gymnastics. I
Mm,
played the piano. Then I started playing basketball and other sports and playing other instruments up until I got to high school. That's when I knew that basketball was going to take me to the next level.
okay, so you can play instruments too. Still got that in you.
I don't got it in me no more.
Have you tried, do you think? Or you just like you just haven't picked it up in a while?
I have not picked it up in years.
Okay. Yeah, it might come back to you, you know. Sometimes they say it's like muscle memory, you know, just watch the little YouTube video. That's dope though. Jack of all trades. With basketball, how was that like at Alabama? You have your coach is pretty affirming for you. What's the dynamic like of playing at that level at Alabama? And do you plan on playing at a higher level after?
Oh, I do plan on playing at a higher level professionally after this. I will say, different divisions have different things about them. I did play at the Big Ten level. I played at the SEC level. And now I'm currently playing at the SWAC level. And my favorite conference to play in is the SWAC because it's a little bit more physical and it's a little bit more competitive versus playing at those other two levels where the refs kind of blow the whistle more instead of letting us play the game, letting us choose the pace of the game.
That does make a difference. That does make a difference. What do you plan on doing afterwards? Like that at the you want to play at the next level? You gonna try to get some contracts to go to the WNBA? It's hot right now.
I don't really know what the WNBA would look like for me because I don't technically fit the mold of the athletes that they accept. But if I
Mm.
do get that chance, I'm gonna obviously take it because that's like almost a once in a lifetime chance based on how small the league is. But I do wonder what would it be like because I only know of one athlete who wasn't identifying as a woman that played in the WNBA, and she was. I mean, they were actually like proof to me that it's possible. It's just not how do I say. It's just like she was the first. They were the first to do it, so it's just not common quite
Yeah.
yet.
Well, as we mentioned earlier, it's not common right now for you at like the Alabama. So like what would be do you think would be different or than what you do right now versus WNBA? Or are you just like, I'm tired of doing what I do right now. That's why I don't want to do it in the WNBA.
I have actually never really thought about that. I don't think I'm tired of what I'm doing right now because I love playing basketball, and I actually think that just because somebody may be gender conforming, transgender, non-binary, that doesn't mean that they should have to give up on their professional career as far as basketball or any other sports if that's what they chose to do. Because we do put in the work just like any other athlete.
Right, right. And you said that you want to pursue at another level. What have you thought about doing since WNBA wasn't a thought? What did you think about doing?
I want to play overseas anywhere I can.
Does that look differently than what it would be like for the WM?
I would
Like,
like to think so. I've had like small conversations about what it would look like with my coaches because some of my coaches have actually played overseas at the professional level and they have connections over there. So I would like to think that it is a little bit different just because it's two different leagues.
what do you mean by they're two different? Like, what do you think would be different?
Maybe the way that the leagues overseas are ran versus how the WNBA is ran. Like they might have common rules, but I just don't see each league or all of the leagues from overseas following the exact guidelines of the WNBA. It might be close, but not precise, if that makes sense.
Yeah. And are you like pertaining to like the rules and regulations of like gender roles or something else?
Yes.
And so do you I'm just like, I guess my question is like, what do you want to be different that you're not getting right now that you feel like would be at the WNBA?
I'm not sure.
So like what would be your ideal experience? Like if it was the perfect world for you to play still and continue, like what do you foresee that they would help regulate or put in place to be able to do that?
Think about that a lot. So in my perfect world, I think that the WNBA would allow all athletes to play, even if they are on like hormones and stuff, would find a way for them to be able to play. I do think it should be at a certain level, like your hormone level should be at a certain level, because at the same time, they do view hormones or drugs as performance enhancement. So we need to make sure that the levels are even so that the competition can be even, the play can be even. That is a major regulation, actually. It's even major in college sports. That's pretty much what people are focused on, and I find that quite interesting because it's not like it's a million trans athletes. It's literally a small handful of us who just want to continue to play. But they focus on that so much, and sometimes we do have bigger fish to fry than to worry about the 10, maybe 15, 20 trans athletes who are out here winning competitions.
Do you have you had this personal experience with dealing with it in your team, on your team, in your league?
I would say no, only because I haven't mentioned starting any type of hormones. That's just kind of not where my mind is at right now.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Okay. Okay. That's a thank you for sharing that. Like I didn't know like where what part of the journey you're on, but you did mention that you did get top surgery though. So
Hmm.
and when I seen the your stuff on social media, it says non-binary.
Hmm.
Today you said trans. You mentioned trans. Do you feel like you're more non-binary? Do you trans? Like what? How do you express yourself?
I feel like kind of even keel between us two because,
Mhm.
like, I did transition from identifying as a woman. I just don't completely identify as a man.
Yeah, yeah, I get that. I get that.
So that's why I use those terms kind of like interchangeably for myself.
Yeah, that makes total sense. That makes total sense. I've personally thought about just the top surgery, just because I personally hate poops. I do not like them. Like I really just want them gone. Even like the period, I could go away with that.
Yes, you can
It's
please take it. You can have it.
so annoying, but they won't give you a hysterectomy though. Like that's not something that they'll do unless you have a few kids or it's definitely needed. You said like in college level, like that's when you started. Have you? What's the earliest memory that you can recall of like, okay, I am into females or I'm into everyone?
Um, as far as like realizing like my sexuality, I would say I started to realize that at 8, but I didn't know that I was realizing that at 8 until I got older. I was like, oh, I liked her, but we were just friends, but I liked her.
Yeah, no. I think and mine was really young too, but like we mentioned with our parents like not giving that openness to be able to be yourself. What ways did you are you healing your inner childhood now? Like all your life you weren't able to do this, but now it's like I'm doing this for myself now.
One is the way that I dress. I play around with my fashion a lot more because I didn't have that opportunity as a child. I was, forced to fit a mold that my parents wanted me to fit. And they may have had their reasons, but I don't know what the reasons are, but it is what it is with that. The next thing I did probably was my name change and my pronouns. I had to work on that. I know I wanted to change my name like 3 years ago when I started my process, but I didn't do everything all at once because I really wasn't ready for the backlash that I might receive. I didn't have the confidence to do everything all at once. And yeah, my pronouns. I knew my pronouns from the jump as well, but I just didn't have the confidence to share them until this past year.
Congratulations. I know that's right. It's and you mentioned like not having the confidence, but I feel like you did have the confidence. Even sharing a little bit, like taking steps forward, that takes a lot of courage to even take the step to do this, to be who you are truly, especially growing up with a family that is not accepting, still not there yet, having to navigate it by yourself.
I would say,
Congratulations.
although they still aren't there yet, we don't have the closest relationship. I do know that they do love me deep down inside, and I love them as well.
For sure, for sure. Well, that's good that you definitely know that, and the ways that they show you for sure. Navigating this, are you do you live by yourself now, or what's it like? Because you're a graduate student, so as
Hmm.
you said earlier, it's no more dorm life. You're out there. You have a job. You got some
I had a
roommates.
job.
Okay,
I had a job, but since I got to Alabama A&M, I have been blessed enough to not have to work, do school, and do basketball.
nice. Because you got a full scholarship.
Because I got a full scholarship and because our school participates in NIL stuff, so some of the athletes get paid money.
Hey, I know. Hey, I know that's right. See, this how you know Moses is a baller. Baller. Hey, you are working. This is your job now. How do you feel about
Correct.
that? How do you feel about that now? Finally being able to get paid at the college level.
I feel grateful for it, but it does put a different level of, I wouldn't call it stress, but you do have to change your mindset as in like this is a job and you are now an employee. You're not just like a regular student athlete. You do get paid to do this. You did sign a W-9. Like this is your actual job.
Yeah, it does. But it's what you've been doing all your life, right? Like what do you feel like? Did you feel like you got more hungrier now that you know like you're gonna you get some money for it? Like what do you feel like switched in you knowing now? Like, oh, I get paid for this.
It makes me hungrier because I do get money for it, and because I get money, I'm allowed to be more independent of my family. I'm actually always going to be independent. I don't care how much I'm struggling in life. I'm going to find a way to be independent so that I can move how I need to move, how I want to move, and have a better mental health.
Yeah, I know that's right. I know that's right. Definitely. You got to be independent, but that's nice. And also like did you benefit from them extending the amount of years that you get to be able to play?
I did. I was actually in the last class. I think that got affected by COVID because I got affected by COVID my freshman year of college. So being able to play and that not counting against me, plus the mental year that I took, it gave me more time to mature as an athlete and as a person. I think about that all the time. I'm just grateful that I could stay in college a little bit longer and let my frontal lobe develop a little bit more before getting out there into the real world and being shocked by all the responsibilities that come with that.
Most definitely. And then like they give you didn't they did you get affected also by like when they give an extra year to play because it used to be like only what was it like 3 don't really remember but like when you extend the time.
So, based off my history, technically, no, I didn't get affected by that, but I have been through some things. Like I said, I told you I took a mental year off. So I got a year back for that. And sadly, I had to sit out my last season because I tore my labrum the previous season before that. So I got a medical red shirt for that as well. And I got that year back, which is why I'm able to play at the age of 24, 25.
Nice. Okay. Yes, lessons. That's nice. And able to, like you said, to mature. That's a big portion of it. And you learn the game a little differently. I know my first year, of playing. I actually got knocked out. We are doing a 3-man weave, and I had this big. When I say big, I mean 360, 6'4", JUCO level. And I was did the one thing you're not supposed to do is like turn around and see if you made the layup. And I just ran right into like a brick wall, hit my head, and don't remember anything after that for like the next few hours. But I knew then this league, this is a tough league. I like this. You mentioned just like it being hungry at like different levels, like the JUCO level. It's a different ball game with and like we mentioned on the podcast before, just like guests being ball players and doing the overseas thing. And then having to grieve basketball at the end of that, like the end. Have you thought about just like what you wanted to do after all of a sudden done? Like ball isn't life anymore.
I'm taking more time to think about that because as a child, I was like, yeah, I'm always going to play basketball forever and ever and ever and ever. But as I got older, I'm like, at the end of the day, one of these days that ball don't stop bouncing and life's not going to stop because the ball don't bounce. So I need to have some type of plan. And so I'm taking the time out. I'm taking the time out pretty much over the last year, but I'm really focusing on it because this is my last year under the safety net of not having things planned out, but still having a roof over my head, still having people around me who ain't gonna just let me fall through the crack.
For sure. For sure. That's good that you're thinking about that. I know a lot of people, athletes, like don't think about that. It's just like I know I'm gonna get in, so there's like, but it's okay to be thinking about options for sure. What is it like with you and the contract with the work? What does that look like? Is there any um like that you can let us know? Um, with the contract, is there like things that you have to do extra that you weren't doing before?
That varies from team to team, from coach to coach. I think at the end of the day, the coach decides like how much you get paid, what goes into your contract, those type of things. And I know specifically for my coach, she literally just requires us to give it everything that we got and be our best. There's no stipulations to how many points, rebounds, assists, blocks that I have to get, but she does expect me to do my best in my roles as a starting center and as a captain. And when I'm not doing that, trust, she's gonna let me know.
Yeah, yeah. That is. What does it feel like to be the leader of the team, the captain?
It's great to know that my teammates actually see me as a leader and that they value my input, my knowledge about the game. But I do put a lot of pressure on myself because I want to be the leader, but I want to be the best leader that I can be. And sometimes I place unnecessary pressure on myself to be perfect when I know I'm not.
And we all can do that for sure. And in what ways do you show like leadership?
I would say I think we're a pretty close knit group on and off the court. I'm usually a leader of action, meaning like I'm gonna show you what to do through my actions, but I've been challenged to be more vocal and say the things that actually need to be said so that the team can progress.
Yeah, most certainly. I think also like being in master of business administration, that leadership role is going to look different later on in the years of being your own boss, having your own team. So it's going to transcend into that, what that looks like. What is, if it was anything in the world that you could do for your first business, what would it be?
I would start a professional league for all sports that allows women, men, and transgender athletes to play together if they choose to. That's what I would do.
So just a co-ed league full of sports. Do you feel like that's what would be the best um,
For
solution?
me
Yeah, for you, for you. No, like your own experience, how you feel.
to say, if the co-ed league was on a level of somewhere like the NFL, the WNBA, the NBA, those type of leagues, that would be the best for me.
Yeah, I've always like I've like talked to into groups with people and just like because you get that question. That's one of the big ones. It's just like the sports with people that are transgender, and I'm like, if you're good, you're good. I know, like, as an athlete, we play co-ed, like, throughout our experience. Like, we if you play basketball, you've played against the fellas before. Like, it's nothing new, and you
Yeah,
played.
like I do that now. We have guys on the practice team now. We play against them every day at practice. It's really no different until it's game day and we're playing against women.
Yeah. So I feel like it's just like the perspective of it, and it's just another excuse as to why they want to single people out, I think, in my opinion. I don't ever have like,
But they even take it further in just singling out trans women in sports. Like they never really talk about the non-binary people or the trans men or the other variations of people who play sports. So I kind of wonder why it is why trans women in sports are like the hyper focus of trans athletes in sports. Like they're not the only ones that play sports.
yeah. That brings me up a question for you. Just like, do you feel like trans men get left out of conversations a lot?
Me personally, yes, I do. Because like I said earlier in the podcast episode, taking hormones is seen as a performance enhancement drug in the NCAA, maybe even in professional sports as well. So it's like for a female transitioning to a male and wanting to play sports as a male, they just like that person's just taking hormones. That's literally just it, and they might not even be able to compete with men who were born male. They don't really like the conversation doesn't really carry on as much as it does when somebody's talking about a trans woman who decided to transition at the age of 22 and who has the wingspan of a 6'4" man or whatever.
Yeah, no, yeah, that's a good point. I was at a panel, and it was all trans individuals, and they spoke about that. And then the trans woman naturally just took over in the conversation, and the trans man was like, "This is what we're talking about. Like, this is exactly what we're talking about." So, but personally, on Kueen Talk, trans men, I've had more trans men on my podcast than I have trans women, and I so it's been interesting. I think it's my For You page, honestly. TikTok, you just be scrolling, and that's where I found you. You are on TikTok. You're sharing your message on there. What made you start sharing your message and being seen on and visible on TikTok?
It was a day that we had a basketball camp and our coaches asked the workers, meaning the athletes, to speak to the kids. And I didn't really have much to say because I didn't want to talk. But then I was like, see, that's where I'm messing up at. I don't want to talk. And me not talking when I get the opportunity to could cost me opportunities to improve my life and to improve somebody else's life. 'Cause I might just be yapping, but I might actually be saying something that is worth hearing to somebody else. So I started working on it. I literally found a public speaking challenge and I sent it in a group chat with my closest friends and they was like, yeah, you need to start doing this. So I started and I haven't stopped.
That's awesome. What's the challenge? Like, what was it like to make the videos? Was it just to get out there? Like, what was that?
So the challenge is to make a 1 minute video and you can talk about whatever you want to talk about, but as soon as you press record, you cannot stop it until it gets to 1 minute. And then you have to post the video. And while you're posting the video, you listen and reflect on the things that you said and how you could have spoke better.
Wow, wow, that's awesome that you took that step forward. I know for me, like doing this podcast, you would think like I'm this outgoing person, like I love to talk, I can public speak, but no, I get the bubble guts anytime I have to public speak. Like
Yeah.
it's no joke. I'm sweating on the inside. I'm like, do people can people tell that I'm nervous? And I'm just like, I know I have it in me. Like I actually used to be like that too. It's just like I'm not the leader. And was always like in the shadows and just like quiet, never really spoke up. And then I was like, yeah, you can't quiet me down. Now like I found my voice, I'm like, yeah, you have to be around those people that allow you to find your voice too, that encourage you to speak up in moments for yourself and for others. So that's dope that you found that and that you're doing that. You're doing a great job. You're still doing the challenge, and you're also just like sharing your journey of like being vulnerable and what that looks like for you. And I'm sure it's definitely helping other people and other individuals. That's good for you. So keep going.
Thank you.
Do you feel like you found a good community by doing so too? Like, do you feel like that's growing as well?
I do. I think it's growing, and even if it doesn't grow anymore, I still appreciate the people who listen, who comment on my stuff, who interact with me, and then we can go back and forth in the comments. Those are the things that I look forward to when I post a video. I don't even care if I said too many filler words. I like to interact with people who are like me and who have a perspective of what I said, and I just like to carry on conversations and get to know folks.
Yeah, I think it is like we can see a lot of just like unedited, unrealistic stuff on the internet. So like when we finally do see things that, okay, this is real, like, okay, I can relate to this. I'm glad that you are pursuing that. You're sharing your story with other people is because with other people it definitely helps people out. What advice do you have for anybody that maybe experiences anything that you have in your part of your story?
I would advise them to do deep introspection first. Then once you get what you need from that, go and find somebody who can help you go even deeper to explore the the things that you discover about yourself so that you can get to know yourself. And then try to find your community or try to build a chosen community because you're gonna need people on this journey.
Most definitely, most definitely. Thank you for that. This was a great story that you have going through the story that you've gone through coming out in college and dealing with ball and navigating that and that experience being the captain of your team, getting that check also while playing and being able to pursue your dreams after that and stay true to yourself while also growing a community and building a community within yourself and finding that support system is amazing. So thank you so much for being here with us today on Kueen Talk.
Once again, thank you so much for giving me the space to share my journey and my story. And I do appreciate this opportunity. I will never forget this, and I won't take it for granted.
Yeah, thank you so much. I'm always looking for guests. I'm always trying to find individuals to come on and share their story and experiences. So if you know anyone else, send them my way. We're definitely going to stay connected for sure. Alabama is where I watch my church, Rock City, like I told you before we were recording. But so when I go up, then because I would like to go to the church in person, and I'm jealous that you got to experience that in person. But I'm glad you gave
It
me.
is something amazing to experience. That's all I can say.
I'm glad you told me that. I'm glad you told me that because that's gonna make me feel better. I need to know this also. Like,
But I could see it being a space for people like us to be in there.
I mean, the message is love God, love people, and make a difference. That's why you said enough. I'm going to tell my partner this that you actually got to experience it last week, which is, man, yeah, that's so dope. That's so dope. Well, thank you again for being a guest. We will stay connected. You guys, let us know what you think of this episode. How are you healing your inner childhood? I'm curious. Do you play ball? Are you getting paid to play? What's your experience has been like? And do you have coaches that support you on and off the field? What does that look like for you? Thank you guys for tuning into another episode of Kueen Talk. Make sure to hit that like button, subscribe button, leave a comment. Moses, any final words?
Now, ma'am, I'm just grateful to be here.
Awesome, awesome. As always, remember family, friends, strangers, love, and be nice.